Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the second night of the 3-day Manifesto event. My name is Vela. I'll be your mediator for tonight. The posts that will be contested today, the beginning of the speeches today will be the Sports Exco, the Religious Exco, the Secretary, and the Male VP. To start off tonight's event, I shall call the sole contender for the Sports Exco post, Mr. Harid. Good evening, Harid. How are you feeling? Good, thank you. I hope you're not nervous. I hope so. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Haris Zahri. You can just call me Haris. And I'm a Petronas scholar, probably doing mechanical engineering. And I'm from the House of Rock, Topaz.
Okay, thank you for your introduction, Harid. I think we would like to hear your manifesto now. Would you kindly go to the podium? Thanks.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harid and I'm from the House of Rock, Topaz. And today I'm running for the post of Sport Exco. First of all, I would like to thank all of you who did our survey last week, as it helped us a lot in giving us ideas and problems that we should improve on regarding sports. I promise if I'm elected, I will do my best as a Sport Exco to solve, if not minimize the problems faced by all the KYUEM students. The bike, the pool, and the gym. These are the main problems that we identify from the survey. After talking to Mr. Sharif, the gym and the bike is now open on weekends. I cannot promise that I will open it during every weekend, but if the demand is high, you can just call me and I will open it. And Mr. Sharif also said that the gym, the keys to the bike shed and also the keys to the gym are given to the Sport Excos. So I will do my best to open the bike shed and the gym every day. About the pool, I cannot really say that we can open it during the weekends, but after talking to Dr. Paul, if the demand is high and we have the cooperation from the wardens, we can actually open it on long weekends, such as the long break, such as Taipusan break. But due to safety reasons, it is not certain whether we can open it or not. In addition, actually to use the bike shed and to use the gym, you need at least 2 people to go to the gym and 3 people to go to the bike shed for safety reasons. Moving on, I plan on making a notice board, especially for sports. So this will include the infos on the sports related stuff in KY, and also the team, any team or clubs can post any infos on the board. Next, I'm planning to make all the sports event more transparent, as in how much do they contribute for 1 gold medal, or how much does every event differ from each other? How many points can they contribute if they are winning the event? So this breakdown of each of the events will be posted on the board for easy for people can see easily. Lastly, about shuttlecocks. It's a major problem for the people of KYUEM to actually play badminton without shuttlecocks. And to buy shuttlecocks is quite hard to go to Tanjung Malim to buy shuttlecocks. So what I plan is to sell shuttlecocks, not giving it for free, but to sell shuttlecocks. And then the fund that we get from selling the shuttlecocks will be used to buy another supply of shuttlecocks. So the supply will be endless. And then I think that's all for my manifesto. If you have any problems or any suggestion, you can just ask me or text me. With that, I thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech, Harith. I shall now open the floor to any questions.
Hello Harith, how are you feeling?
That's fine. Good. Thank you.
Okay. I kind of like your manifesto, so good job on that. I really hope that you can actually carry it out. But what I want to ask is basically a problem that occurs in KY, not really frequently, but it has happened before, so I would like your opinion on that, which is basically when it comes to sports events. Like KY usually receives emails from other colleges regarding sports events, and things like that. And usually when this kind of thing happens, it is actually what we have to do is we actually have to submit it. We have to submit some kind of proposal to the SS and things like that. And one problem is that students may find it tedious to actually go through the SS or this kind of things. So I want to know, how would you solve this tediousness issue which students don't really like?
Thank you, Will. After talking to Puan Halija today, actually, she proposed that we did all the event on one day, so it won't be tedious to do events on different days. So instead of making it on different days, we should just organize a single event that the team can play, many sports can play on the same day. So yeah.
Can I follow up?
Yeah, sure.
But then, what would the limitations be if you implement that kind of thing?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What is the limitation of having everything in one single day?
Okay, the limitation is we cannot invite many college at one time because we don't have enough space for every team to actually play. So instead of inviting every college to play in one day, we should invite a few colleges in one sem, and then the next sem we can invite another college.
Alright, thank you.
Hi Harith. I really liked your manifesto. So I just have one question to ask. You were saying that you are planning to open the pool during weekends. You are trying to open it during weekends and also for long breaks. But how about the availability of lifeguards? Because currently we only have one male and one female lifeguards. So if you open the pool and there are no lifeguards, it's quite dangerous. So I just want to know what are you going to do about it?
I've talked to Dr. Paul about it. So Dr. Paul suggested about making the students a lifeguard. So we have some students that have actually official certs of being a lifeguard. But yeah, it's about safety, and drowning is really a high chance that it will come true. So it's not certain yet that we can open it during weekends. We need a certified lifeguard and we need their commitment to actually do their job as a lifeguard.
Okay, thank you.
Hi Harith. First of all, I'd like to say I really like your manifesto because you engage on the problems that occurs within the students in KYUEM. But as a person who started using the gym this semester, my concern is like if you want to open the gym on every weekend, what happens when you are not staying in during that weekend?
The main concern about the gym is about safety actually. That's why Mr. Sharif hasn't opened it during the past few weeks or past few years, the gym, because handling weights can be dangerous. If no one is there, the gym should be closed as it concerns your safety. So we can't really do much about that. If there's no one to open the gym, so it should be closed.
Alright, thank you.
Hi Harith. I really like your manifesto again. But just a quick question about the board. Number one, where is it going to sports board? And secondly, how often are you guys going to update it, and what exactly are you guys going to include aside from the points you mentioned just now? Thank you.
I haven't really decided where the board is supposed to be, but Dr. Paul said that we can just put the board anywhere as long as it's empty. You can see a lot of empty boards around KY. And about the infos on the board, it should be about events that are coming, the breakdown of the points given to each of the events, and then if any sport clubs or any captains who want to post their infos about their club, about their practice, they can just post on the board.
Thank you, Harry.
Welcome. Hello, good evening, Harith. So my question is simple. As you know, a lot of the KY students like to borrow the equipments from the MPH. But then again, the equipments are kind of old nowadays, and a lot of them has its wear and tear, up to the point that it's not really that enjoyable to play sport anymore. So I'm just asking, what would you do about this, and how perhaps?
Can you repeat your question?
Basically, it's regarding the sports equipment that is being allowed to borrow in the MPH, meaning like the rackets,
The condition of the...
yeah, the condition of the equipment. I mean, like maybe like the tennis bat, table tennis bat, and rackets. Some of them are not as good as they were before.
I've talked to Mr. Sharif about this, about conditions of the equipment. So the equipments are meant for beginners, not for experienced players. So for experienced players, you should buy your own equipment. It's just for people who want to play during the evening, just to practice, who wants to start to play the sport. If you are experienced enough, you should buy your own equipment.
Thank you.
Anything else, anyone?
Good evening, Aaron. I have no strong opinion about your manifesto because, quite frankly, it's the first KY manifesto I've heard, so I'll withhold my opinion on that. In relation to KY and their participation in intercollegiate sports events, I didn't hear anything about your plan for what types of events that you would like for us to be involved in attending in other colleges in the region or within Malaysia, possibly even in nearby countries.
I have a proposal actually to do inter-college events with KGJ and Taylors, which will be held during the second SEM, the first SEM and the third SEM for the seniors and juniors, which the SEM doesn't have any major events such as the CIE exams, which we are free. So to actually manage these events, we have to organize the events a month prior to the event itself. Because we have to allocate time for events. So yeah.
Okay, so for the timing, that sounds like that you've got that in mind. And how will budgeting be handled for that?
About the budget, sports require equipments and then the accommodations. I think accommodations don't really need accommodations, but we really need drinks, food, and we can ask the cafe to be open on that day. And then yeah, we have to manage actually the budget and the time.
All right, thank you for managing that. Do appreciate it.
Is that it? Thank you, Harith, for your time. Okay, that marks the end of the Sports Exco's Manifesto session. Before moving on to the next session, I'd just like to acknowledge Dr. Paul. He has taken time out of his busy schedule to join us tonight. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Okay, now the next session for tonight will be the Religious Excos. So I shall call them up now. First, Zamir, Najul, Adrian, Arman. So why don't, okay, let's start with a little bit of introduction from you guys about yourselves. Start from my right.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. My name is Arman. I'm from the House of Courage, Diamond, and I'm a lawyer in the making, probably with a degree from Oxford. I hope to be the next Expo.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Samir Pereira, and I am from the House of Enthusiasm, hence the ring. So I aspire to be an applied physicist or an astrophysicist.
Mencelah merapi dahan, gugur daunan, sisian rawa. Nazrul Adrian, nama diberi, takkan berundur, semangat dibawa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening, everyone. My name is Nazrul Adrian. I'm sponsored by YPPB, and I'm planning on doing pharmacy. And I'm from House of Enthusiasm, Garnet.
That was interesting. Thank you guys. Okay, let's start off with the manifestos. First up, we have Nazrul Adrian. Speech, please go to the podium.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening I bid to the members of the floor. I am Nazrul Adrian Abdullah from House of Enthusiasm, Garnet. I'm running for Religious EXCO. So first of all, let me explain to all of you what is the duty of Religious EXCO. Religious EXCO moderate circle of faith regarding religious activity in the college and hosts interfaith dialogue annually. In simple words, Religious EXCO is the bridge between the community of KY and the COF. A little bit about myself and why I see that I am fit to get this role. I was raised in conservative environment, but at the same time, I'm also exposed towards other culture. I am open-minded and willing to exchange knowledge and information about other religions as well. In my school, I was in religious science stream, hence, aside from learning all of science subjects, I also learned about Pendidikan Syariah Islamiyah, Pendidikan Quran Sunnah, and also Arabic language. And I've learned Arabic language since I was 6 years old already, so I can handle basic conversation in Arabic. I also represent my school to Kalimatus Sobah competition, which is basically just like a public speaking in Arabic in state level, and I managed to get second place in that competition itself. In 2015, I also represent my school in Quranic quiz competition in state level, and I managed to get first place in the competition and represent my state to national level competition. Aside from that, in KY, I also involved in quite a few of religious activities. For example, mosque tour guide, and I also joined Faith Booster. In Faith Booster, one of the module is friendly comparative religion. So I know quite a bit about other religion, and I know basic things about them. So, if I am elected as the Religious EXCO in SC, the concept that I will implement is Lakum Dinukum Waliyadin. This means, for me, my religion, and for you, your religion. As we all know, KY community consists of multi-racial and multi-religion society. So we all have different beliefs. And what I mean by the concept of Lakum Dinukum Waliyadin is, we are all free to practice our own beliefs and religion. Although Religious EXCO, for example, although Religious EXCO is a Muslim, okay, by no right, the Religious EXCO can interfere with other religions. I am free to practice my own religion, and so do you. and who will manage each religious practice and activities in KY must be the circle of faith members, as they should know the best about their respective religion. And as a religious ESCO, I will try my best to ensure that your right to practice your religion is maintained. Bringing me to my next manifesto is, if I am elected as a religious ESCO, I will try my best to provide a box in front of dining hall, for example, so that anyone can ask questions about religions. These questions will be answered by respective circle of faith members, and it can be displayed at the COF board. I think that this will be a really effective and efficient way for us to maximize the use of the COF boards to relay information to KY community, of course. The answers given will be screened by me and anyone else that is knowledgeable in religious issues so that no conflict will arise. This method is also effective and efficient because some people, they might feel ashamed and embarrassed in asking something about religion in public. So it is a perfect medium for them to know more about religion. Next, I will also encourage every student in KY to share information and knowledge about their religion to others. Nowadays, research has shown that people are most divided compared to other generations in our history. And people nowadays keeps categorizing themselves and holding prejudice to the outgroup. This will lead to outgroup discrimination and in-group favoritism. I want everyone to realize the fact that this is wrong. Religions exist to unite us, not separate us all. Maybe we keep holding prejudice about other religion because we don't know much about them. So we KY students can take the initiative to show information about our religion to other people. For instance, in KY, we have a lot of celebration. For example, CNY, Diwali, and Hari Raya celebration, just to name a few. Information about the significance of this celebration towards a particular religion can be explained by the MC before the performance or the celebration starts itself. By doing this, we can understand more about other religion and at the same time keeping away all of the prejudice from our mind. And in addition, to promote unity also, I would like to organize events such as a charity event that involve all of the people from various religions. Okay, the charity event can be visiting old folks' home or feeding the homeless people. As we all know, every religion asks us and teaches us to be good to other people. By participating in this kind of activity, individuals from different religions can integrate and interact with each other, and they will work together as a team to to reach their objective, which is to help other people and become useful towards society. And as a religious ESCO, I will continue to organize and hosting interfaith dialogue that is done annually. And I will try my best to improve the event so that it can bring a more significant impact towards the community of KY. I will also try my best to avoid and prevent any conflict from arising by mentioning or asking the speakers, telling them what to talk about and what not to talk about. Okay, so with that, I think that ends my manifesto. If you guys think that I am fit and suitable for this job, please vote for me. And if you guys think that there are other better people, the other people are better than me, please vote for them. With that, I take my seat. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To the Muslims present here tonight, I say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To the Christians present here tonight, I say peace be with you and God bless. To the Buddhists and the Hindus here tonight, I say to you, Namaste. Now I'm new here to KY. I'm a 0.5 and only been here for about a month. But one of the first things I noticed about KY is how people are fairly progressive compared to the rest of Malaysia. I'm really proud to be part of a school where people do not let their differences prevent them from being in unity. In spirit of this, I want as Religious Exco to take it to the next level, to make sure people are not just accepting of each other's differences, but are able to discuss their differences. That's why I want to propose that the next interfaith dialogue be held, won't be held as usual, but instead with students as speakers. Because, thank you, Dr. Because I feel that the students of KY can benefit more if we are more involved in the discussion. And we will relate more to people who are closer to our age, people who are youth, the same of our generation. The next topic I want to raise is about charity events. Now, charity, as we all know, is a big part of religion, and my predecessor Zikri has, in his last manifesto, promised to bring about charity as part of religious activities here. Unfortunately, due to budget constraints and whatnot, these events did not take place. But he did organize a charity event, not as a religious exco, but as the president of the music club. And this is a good example of how we can collaborate as a community. Even if we don't have enough resources as individual clubs, we can pull together for the greater good. And that's what that's part of the message that I want to bring to KY. Because charity is not exclusive to religion. You do not have to be religious to be part of charity. Now, another thing that a religious exco does is, of course, addressing issues that religious people face within the community. And I haven't been able to ask all different faiths and all their different perspectives, but one of the frequent issues that I heard is the Muslim girls not feeling like they have enough space in the surau and feeling like it is very stuffy and uncomfortable for the place that they are allocated. Now, this is a big problem because while you're worshiping God, you don't want to have to worry about sweating through your clothes, like really. So, because of this, I spoke to the bursar, and as well as Puan Zahara, who confirmed these issues that the girls are having. And I plan to propose to him a series of short-term and long-term solutions, where short-term solutions as in bringing fans and whatnot to make it more comfortable. But he gave me even better news, that by the beginning of Ramadan in this year, there's already a plan in motion to install air conditioning into the surau. I've already discussed what a religious exco will do, but I believe that it's important as well to tell you why I'm a good fit to be religious exco. Now, being a religious exco means that I not only represent one faith, but multiple faiths. And I believe that I'm a good fit for that because ever since I was born, I've been part of a multi-religious country, a multicultural country, even a multi-religious family. My father is a convert, and so I have relatives that are Christians, and I have been open to their perspectives of life. And I've been part of schools where there are many different foreigners, and I've been exposed to their perspectives of life. And I believe that all these past experiences can contribute to making fair decisions, fair judgments when making decisions regarding religious activities. For example, in the last few semesters, there have been certain issues like people having grievances with each other over being offended by religious remarks. And in such situations, a person has to be open-minded in understanding different perspectives and making sure that there is an acceptable solution. So, as religious exco, I want you to know that no matter if you are in the minority or the majority, no matter you're Hindu, Buddhist, or Christian, or Muslim, or even if there's just one of you that believes in one faith, like even if there's just one Jew or one person that believes in one different faith, I will take care of your religious needs, and I will put your beliefs first. Thank you.
Thank you, Zami. Next up, we have Mr. Arman.
Hello, good evening. Or on a more religious tone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Arman. I'm from the House of Courage Diamond. And I'm running for KY's next religious exco. So in the next 8 minutes or less, I will be talking about 3 things. Firstly, what is my view on religion? Secondly, why I want to be the next religious exco. And thirdly, how you would benefit from me being the next religious exco. So just a background story on me. In Form 1, I was sent to study in a religious stream class. So I was surrounded by these angels in Tudong Lapo, or as we call them, Klik Tudong Lapo lah. But despite the heavy conservatism we practice there, I didn't protest because somehow I thought that maybe it is important for me to know a little bit more about my faith before engaging in future discussions and debates, where I can contribute or give inputs or points so that it's a non-zero sum game. That's what I got from my rivals. But don't get me wrong, I wasn't taught to be an ISIS militant nor an Al-Qaeda militant, but rather I was told not to be one. So that is why I came to realize that how my community has already suffered because due to social labels and also stereotypes that society, not all, but the global society has put on my faith. And that is why I think it's important for us to understand our faith so that we understand that at the end of the day, ignorance robs the beauty of faith from society. Then it dawned upon me that my underlying principle as a religious exco, future religious exco, the main reason why I want to be the religious exco because I want us to acknowledge, understand, and reaffirm the importance of religion. And only then, respect will come naturally from the bottoms of our hearts. I don't think that we should put our differences aside. Instead, we should engage in the differences in a more professional way. Because if we decided to unite on grounds of liberalism and secularism, we will then desensitize to what make us feel offended. That is why I believe. To me personally, religions are important because it's a systematic way and organized medium to nurture empathy and serves as a moral compass. My faith has led me to do tons of great things in life that I've never thought of doing of. It gives me incentives to do good, not only to myself, but also to the people around me. Just a quick story. It started back when I was in standard 6. I've never gotten any less than 5 days for my exams. So people started saying, what do you have to worry, Arman? You'll get 5 days in UPSR for sure. But acting in a way which I thought to be humble, I said, Nola, you wouldn't know that. There's the possibility that I would get 5 days anyways. I say that quite often, that it turned out to be true. I didn't get 5 days. I got a B for my best subject, supposedly best subject, which is B and Design. And for that, I went to the back of my school and cried my eyes out, cried my eyes blind, and I started questioning God's existence and how unfair God was. I know, such a thought for a 12-year-old, huh? But somehow I recuperated from the ordeal, and my faith in God is restored, and I knew that instant it was all just a test. The whole God experience allowed me to develop the way of thinking, the character, the mindset we needed to achieve great things in life. One of which, just to share with you an example, I lost 20 kilos during a month of fasting in Ramadan, and I share that if I continue with this mindset, that can-do spirit, I'll achieve greater things too. So that is why I want to be KY's next religious exco. I want to share with you the magic and the power of believing and how it will lead you to higher levels in life. The opportunity to become an SC in KY is something that I aspire the most, because speaking from experience, I think it's a lot of challenge, it's a fun challenge. As a matter of fact, I was a part of the Students Representative Council back in my post-secondary school. I know I can do this job well because I know I will enjoy it. Religious studies is something that I would consider as euphoric because it is something pretty much related. It doesn't deviate much from what I want to study, which is law. The only difference is that it's a divine law, but however, it still affects the laws that we have today, dictating our do's and don'ts. So how will you benefit from me? Well, I've been talking to a few of my friends, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, and Buddhists. Well, they want me to do more to improve religious exco's forte, that is, the interfaith dialogue. I did attend this year's edition of the interfaith dialogue, but however, for future improvements, I would like to have an atheist to share his or her own views on certain topics, because that would be more interesting, I reckon. Although, in my opinion, although you would consider atheist as someone who doesn't belong, who's not religious, doesn't consider to have any religion, but I would see that as someone who has principles in life, and I would like to know more on that principles, because eventually it will lead to a better understanding why people decided to have faith in certain things. I also like to have the students to have a bigger say in deciding the topic for the discussion in next year's edition, probably through conducting surveys beforehand. And then, but what I have in mind is that I would like to have a discussion that circles around politics, religions, and science. But the more important thing to me is that I want to know what you want to know in the next interfaith dialogue. In addition, I think it's imperative to make good use of all our 5 senses. Hence, I would like to integrate and incorporate multimedia presentations in the interfaith dialogue so that the students will have better understanding of what the panelists are trying to say, because they're describing something that is quite divine and requires people to have a long period of studying certain religions. I've also contacted Zikri, the current Honorable Religious Exco of KYUEM, and discussed several issues regarding COF elections and COF board. I've also found out about how the Exco functions as the mediator or the middleman in situations whereby religious entities in KY do actually have conflicts between them. According to Carissa Livan also, who is a part of the Christian Fellowship, I also about the existence of this group that has these religious discussions. It doesn't really center on religion solely. They also discuss something about socialism, liberalism, and analyzing those faiths and understandings. I think I would like to promote that probably by formalizing and having campaigns to encourage students' involvement in those kinds of academic and religious discussions. So my final remarks before I end my speech, I beg before you, the court of public opinion, to vote for me this Thursday. Yes, I may be of Muslim background, but I'm more than happy to passionate to know how you engage your life and how you decide to live with it. Thank you for your support. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Arman. The question and answer session shall start now.
That's my... Okay, hello, good evening to all 3 of you. I think your manifesto was quite straightforward and I can understand them easily. So, am I allowed to ask each one of them a separate question, then ask a general question?
You can ask each one of them a single question, and then you can ask them all the questions. I think more than that.
Alright, so I'll take my chances. So I'm going to ask all of them the question and the general question. So for Nazrul, I would like to ask, you did say something about doing something similar to a kitchen soup event. And as you know, there's like a payment club that's already been doing that. So are you planning on doing a different one, meaning a different one, or in collaboration with the pre-med club? And for Arman and Zami, the question is somewhat similar. Both of you suggested to add something to the interfaith dialogue. So mainly specifically referring to the fact that you suggested that to students to be the speakers and adding an atheist to suggest their opinion. So have you thought of the pros and cons of doing so? And the next question, the general question. So being a religious exco would mean that you have to know a bit about all of the religions that are present in KY. So can you prove to me, show us that you have that capability, you have the knowledge. That's all.
Sorry, Saiful, can you please repeat the question for me?
Okay, we wanted to do something like a kitchen soup event, right, where you feed the homeless, etc.
Okay.
So are you planning to do it in collaboration with the pre-med club or something else?
Yeah, there's one thing I want to clarify here. we religious at school, we don't work alone. We have to collaborate with any other societies and also many other bodies. So I'm planning on collaborating maybe with your society or maybe some other clubs for us to carry out that kind of activities itself. Thank you. Does that answer your questions?
Yes. So regarding your first question about the pros and cons of my suggestions regarding the interfaith dialogue that I would like to have next year. Firstly, I suggested that we conduct a survey among the students about deciding the topic of the next interfaith dialogue. I didn't see that much of the consequences, bad consequences of it. I think it's more democratic and we will expect better turnout because at the end of the day, we're actually giving the students what they want to know about religion. And the second part is about me wanting to invite an atheist to present his ideas or views. To be honest, I don't really see that much of consequences. There are consequences, of course, but I see that the students here in KY are mature enough to somehow make the best out of that experience of having an atheist to speak here. And I think that will give them an extra advantage in terms of how they do their principles in religion, and so that they have a wider viewpoint and something to talk about, probably in interviews or discussions or just simply friendly talk with their friends. So yeah, it does have its pros and cons, but considering the level of maturity in the KY students here, I would say that the pros outweighs the cons. And for the second part of the question, which is, could you repeat that? I mean, the second one, for all of us.
Oh, the general question?
Yeah, the general question.
The general question is, can you prove to us that you understand the basic terms of the other religion that are present here in KY?
Sorry?
Can you prove to us that you know a bit about, meaning the basics of every religion present here in KY?
I do know that KY, the two established religious entities are the Christian Fellowship and also Muslim, but there are Hindus and Buddhists as well. I have yet to meet people of other faiths or people with no faith at all. I do know that because I've been talking to Christian Fellowship members as well, I do know that if you notice in the morning, there are a group of people making a circle at one end of the Science Square. That is actually a Christian morning prayer group. Yeah, that's because I've communicated with some of them just to understand what are they doing there, because even they said that most of KY people initially thought that it's like a new cult or something. So I rectify the problem, and I think should I have the limitations of understanding the whole religious landscape we have in KY today, I think I've proven enough to you this night that I will eventually understand more in the future.
Saiful, you asked about the pros and cons about having student speakers.
Yeah.
So, well, the one reason I want to have student speakers and interfaith dialogues is to encourage more discussion. I mean, I feel if there were outside speakers, I feel like people might shy away from certain questions. But we have student speakers, students who are not just anyone, but people who, of course, will be credible in speaking about what they know. I feel that the students will be more inclined to participate in the discussion itself. In terms of proving what I know about religion, I mean, I'm 18 years old and I have the internet. I know about lots of religions.
That doesn't really prove that you know a lot. It's like basically what Arman mentioned now. A bit kind of shines as what he knows. So can you elaborate a bit of what you know?
Okay, well, KY consists of, to me, 4 major religions: Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism. Christianity and Islam are both part of Abrahamic religions. Buddhism and Hinduism came from India, and they are more like ways of life, and they have tons of gods, whereas Islam and Christianity just focus on one main god. Is that enough?
That's sufficient enough.
for your question to us the proof that I know a little bit about other religion. As I mentioned before in my manifesto, I joined Faith Booster program. So in that program, one of the module is friendly comparative religion. So I know a little bit about all of the religions. So yeah, I can't possibly explain to all about all of the religion to you tonight due to time constraint. But I do know about them, the basic things. And also in SPM, in history subjects, we do learn about any other religions also, right? And just to mention a few, in KY, I know that the major religions here are Islam, Christian, and also Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Confucius, and so on. So yeah, I think I know the basic things about other religions.
But do prove it. Do prove that. Just tell us some basics about the other religions so that we are clear that you do know what you're talking about. Just a bit, something like what Zami said. That would be enough. Is that?
Chapoy, I think time's up.
All right. Thank you.
Hello. So before I start, I just want to clarify one thing. Me and my partner agree on this. As a religious ESCO, it doesn't necessarily mean before you start running for it, you need to know about other religion, because both of us come from a very conservative environment ourselves, and then we just pick it up along the way. So don't feel bad if you don't know much about the religion. Okay, anyway. So first of all, I would like to say that it's very delightful for me to see people actually running for the post. Last year, we were uncontested. So this year around, of course, we were very happy to see you guys have that. So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you guys did your homework, and your manifesto is, of course, very big. But one thing they don't tell you about being a religious ESCO, or SC in general, that is, especially religious ESCO, is that you, at certain points in your life, will be expected to be religious, I would say. I've been through it, and apparently it's kind of like tarnish your credibility as a person to function as a student society, student council member, that is. When you see that there's aspect of your life that is not strictly religious. Per se, I'm a music club president, and my social circle is mainly not Muslims, and apparently that has been used against me to say that I am not credible in doing my job. So my question is simple, two questions actually. First is, how important do you think it is for a religious ESCO to be religious? And secondly, if ever in your term as a religious ESCO next sem, sort of exam, if you ever found yourself in my situation in which you know you have done nothing wrong, but you think people discredit you for stuff just because you're not so religious as Muslim president per se, what would you do? Thank you.
See, you allow one general question to be direct on any specific questions. So you can choose to direct your second question to either one of them, or you can only have one.
Come on, can I do like two general?
You only have one question, you're running for no time.
The first one. No, the second one. Second one.
Zikri. Arman would like you to repeat your second question.
Oh, sorry. If you ever found yourself in this situation in which you are discredited just because you don't live your life religiously, what would you do? Thank you.
Thank you, Z, for the questions. In living in this world, there's something that I need to clarify, that it's impossible for us to cater to everyone's needs and satisfaction. So, yeah, maybe different person has different perspective towards us, but I think maybe we can still just carry on with our life, doing what we think is right, and at the same time trying to improve our weakness from time to time. Because there's no such thing as being so religious and not being religious, because life is a long learning process. we can always improve our knowledge and ourselves from time to time, and there's no issue about it. So yeah, we can stop what other people think about us, but I think we only just need to do what we think is right, and at the same time still trying to improve ourselves. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so if anyone at one time decided to criticize me for not being religious enough, well, simply I would just carry on to do my job, because being a religious exco is, the most important part is having a passion for religion, not particularly because of your own religious inclination, but because you see the importance of religion in society and in culture, and especially in Malaysia. And in a world where today religion is being used bad in many places around the world, I will continue to do my job to clarify issues about religion and to make people know that religion is really, in most times, about peace. So, thank you.
I do have an experience of being criticized by people when I hold important positions back in my school. But it did get on my nerves sometimes when they say that. But however, I've realized, and I think in the future I'll also have the same realization, that I've already decided what are my aims and objectives of becoming religious exco in the first place. And should somehow I have a mental breakdown, an emotional breakdown just because of these incidences, I think it's really important for me to just review and recap what am I here for. And just like what the other two candidates say, you don't have to be religious to be the religious exco, you just need the passion and the drive to do it. But simply you need to just remind yourself whether am I serving the purpose as a religious exco that I have stated during my manifesto session. And because people voted for me, and I carried what I have some manifesto for that, then I think that should be the point of where I am satisfied with what I do, and I should be happy for that.
Okay, those asking the questions, please keep it short, and candidates, cut your answers a bit shorter. Thank you.
I was going to ask, how do you combat religious discrimination in sort of like, for example, in certain subjects where, I don't mean to kind of fire or attack anybody, but sometimes subjects like Malay studies or moral, they have this tendency to attack other religions. Do you propose how to, combat discrimination with not just the students of KY, but sort of, spread this message to everyone?
Thank you for the question. I have yet to take my Malaysian studies. I think I'm taking it next sem, so I'll have to experience it firsthand before suggesting any improvements. But I do think that supposedly there is a code of conduct for those kind of situations, and I think it's better for me to investigate the situations first and analyze how is it going. And then should it be a serious offense, then I suppose it is my responsibility, it's a part of my portfolio to bring up the matter to the SMT or the senior management team. And among the students of KY itself, still I have yet to hear about religious discrimination, because I find people here are very warm and welcoming to its different tastes and ideas and religions. But should that happen, of course it is my responsibility, the responsibility of the future religious exco to probably pull up some strings to make that stop, probably through campaigns and whatnot.
To combat discrimination, really, it's only one simple solution. It's to encourage more discussion about religion itself, for where people can really understand religion. In the case where, you talked about Malaysian studies and Islamic studies. Well, actually, I'm in Malaysian studies, but I don't understand Malay, so I really don't know what's going on in the class. But if ever the situation was to arise where a teacher was spewing hate speech in the class, then of course I would have to file a formal complaint. I'll be obliged to file a formal complaint against that teacher because that teacher is inciting hatred amongst religions, and that is backwards, and that's against progressive policy. So yeah.
Thank you for the question. For this time, I take Malaysian Studies, and so far, in my experience, I haven't encountered any discrimination for religion yet. So, yeah, but to combat, how can I say, to combat discrimination itself, I think it is important for us to increase awareness and educate people and community about the importance of unity among religions. Maybe it is time for us to put aside all of the difference and embrace our similarities. That's all. Thank you.
Sorry, I think Dr. Paul's question will be the last one for Religious Expo.
I'll be quick. I'll be very quick. Excellent manifestos, all of you. I just wanted to make a point about interfaith dialogue. I didn't get to the one this year, but I've been to all the others for the previous years. My problem is the speakers speak too long and the students don't get enough time to answer questions. And I mean, that's a dialogue, right? We don't want to come here to be preached at. We want to be able to have the dialogue. That's why I clapped when you spoke about having students speak. I'm not favouring you saying that, I just thought it was a nice idea. Alright, don't anybody think I'm being biased. I just wanted to know how you would, if you have guest speakers, how you minimise what they say and increase the dialogue two ways. Thank you.
First, before planning the debate dialogue, I have to make sure that the speakers know that it is a dialogue and we have to allocate time for asking questions and to summarize and to keep their messages short and clear and easy to understand so that people can pick up the questions and ask them in also a brief and short manner in a way that is most effective for people to learn.
In my opinion, how I would combat the situation whereby the students were given enough time to ask questions. I think we can kill two birds with one stone, which is through the usage of multimedia, in which the speakers will prepare the multimedia materials or will ask the circle of paid members to prepare it for them. Whereby when you have those multimedia PowerPoint presentations, for example, you have to stick to it so that you have somehow a semi-scripted presentation. So you won't deviate much from what you're trying to say, and the students will have better understanding of the dialogue, and then they can engage more, and at the end of the day, it will turn out as somewhat a two-way dialogue.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, for the question. In my opinion, I believe it is important for us to enforce and improve the system and protocol of the event itself. I think this year interfaith dialogue is really good and it runs smoothly because I think what we can do is we can allocate a fixed time for each of the speakers, and also we can allocate ample time for all of the audience to ask questions. And if this still doesn't give the solution to the problem itself, maybe we can allocate longer time for this program to occur. For example, maybe we can use weekend. We can, hold this program from morning until afternoon. So I think it will give enough time for the speakers to give out their ideas, and also for the audience to ask questions from the speakers to clarify what needs to be clarified. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. That marks the end of the Religious Expo's Manifesto session. Okay, apparently we have time for another 2 more questions. I think you have to let Anis J go first.
Thank you, Vela. And okay, I have 2 simple and straightforward questions. One is one general question that Z didn't get to ask. That is, what is the importance of being religious as you're going to be the religious at school? Then my second question will be directed to Arman.
he mentioned something like to engage. He mentioned something about differences shouldn't be something that separates us. And you said you're going to engage our differences in a more professional ways. Can you please elaborate on that? Like what ways are you going to do? Because it's easy to talk, but it's quite hard to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anis, for the question. So I think it is not absolutely crucial for us to be religious in order to become a religious EXCO, but it is important for us to have patience and also the strong will for us to learn more about religions and for us to improve ourselves more and more from day to day. So I hope that answers your question.
And it's just to clarify, you asked the importance of being religious as a religious EXCO. Is that right? Is that yes? So, like I said just now, this question, I believe it's more important to be passionate about religion than to be religiously inclined yourself. When I say passionate about religion, it's more like recognizing its importance in people's lives. And if something is important to a community, and I have the power to help make it better for people, then why not? And that's my motivation to be a religious EXCO.
Thank you, Anis, for the two questions. The first one, how important is it for the religious EXCO to actually be religious? Generally speaking and secularly speaking, it's really not that important. It's just what important is that you have the passion for religion. What I think is important is that you are someone who is warm, welcoming, and you're easygoing with people and you're approachable. Then people will feel easy and at ease to discuss about their things and religions and share those thoughts with you. So that is what more important than being religious itself. But as a Muslim myself, on a personal basis, I think it's important for me to be religious if I want to be the religious EXCO, because my faith teaches me that if I'm a religious Muslim, supposedly I am someone who can go well and work together with someone who aren't part of my faith. And people will see me as someone who is approachable, someone who is nice, and they see me as someone who is nice, a portrayal of the beauty of faith itself. So on a personal basis, yeah, it is important for me, but generally speaking, no, it doesn't, because I only judge people not because of their religion, but because of what they bring to the table, how they communicate and engage with me. That's more important. For the second part is, how am I supposed to engage professionalism when it comes to discussing religions? Well, firstly, it's about improving the interfaith dialogue so that people are more satisfied with it, and their thirst for knowing more about religion is quenched somehow. Because I think the lack of quality in interfaith dialogues will eventually lead people not being satisfied and have another interfaith dialogue, an informal one outside of the hall, which eventually is rather less professional and leads to more chaos. And secondly, is about formalizing the establishment of a club whereby there are groups of people who engage with each other and discuss things about religions and also ideas such as communism, socialism, liberalism, and stuff. So yeah.
Who's next?
Hello. Okay, my question is quite short, okay? Because the problem sometimes with religious EXCOs, with religion is, when you want to have an open dialogue, usually it will come in conflict with you will tend to offend other religions, you know. Like last time we had this Muslim board thing where you could ask questions for Islam, but what happened was a lot of people started bashing, there was a lot of problem with that. So how are you going to be, as a moderator of religions, drawing the line of what is your line when it comes to something being offensive? And if you're going to be able to draw that, if you are going to be the one to decide where is that line, then how are you going to have an open dialogue? Simple.
Okay, so your first part of the question is how are we going to draw the lines, right, for this situation. That's why I said in the manifesto just now, for people in asking question about religions itself, it will be answered by COF members, and the answers that is given will be screened by religious EXCOs and also by other COF members, and also by the knowledgeable person which knows best about the religion itself. For example, in Islam, maybe we can consult Ustaz and Ustazah, and maybe in Christian we have we can consult people that is knowledgeable in that religion, and so does for other religions. And in drawing the line to decide whether which one is offensive and which one is not, which one is insulting, I think maybe we as religious EXCO can be the one to draw the lines, but with advice and also consult from other people who are knowledgeable about their religion, respective religion. For example, it will be irrational for me, I'm a Muslim, to draw a line to know what is insulting and what is not insulting towards other religions, right? So I will draw the line with the authority that is given as a to the religious EXCO, but by consulting to other COF members and also other people who are more knowledgeable in their respective regions than me. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, regarding open interfaith dialogues, to me actually, what I think is that's conducive to an open interfaith dialogue would be minimal moderation, because you can't really go through life without feeling offended at all. But what we should encourage, what we should instill as a culture in KY is where people don't have to be afraid of asking questions, because we need to reap the benefits of having these discussions and focus less on what makes us feel uncomfortable. That's the only way we will learn about other religions, because we are bound to feel uncomfortable about people who have vastly different beliefs than us. Now, where I draw the line would obviously be hate speech. I mean, if you ask a question with the sole intent of offending someone, then that's a plain wrong. But I trust people of KY with the level of maturity needed to have an open interfaith dialogue that is beneficial to all of us, and not just for the sole intent of venting your angers on other people's faith.
I would imagine that this religious conflicts only occur between the two largest religious entities in KY, probably the only two religious entities, that is the CF and Moscow. Hence, I think it's important for me to communicate well with both CF and Moscow to have an idea of what they are going to do in the future during their tenure, so that I can advise them on what to do and what not to do. And secondly, I think I'll follow up with Zikri and Anis whether they have drawn the line themselves, because I don't think I can straightly draw the line like that. I think it's something that you have to develop over time, because eventually society progresses and their attitudes towards religious discussion changes. So I really need to do a continuous analysis of the KY religious landscape. But however, hate speech is something that I won't tolerate, and I think it's imperative to give the power of speech to KY students so that they get empowered to ask questions and somehow put aside their differences and how they feel at ease at certain questions, because at the end of the day it's important to instill that sense of respect and the intention of asking questions, which is to gain knowledge in the first place.
The end of the religious expo session. Thank you guys. Next session for the night will be the Secretary's Manifestos. So I'll call them around. So let's just do what we usually do. Let's have a round of introduction of each one of you all. Start with Kingsley.
guys, I'm Kingsley. I'm from the House of Enthusiasm, Garnet. I'm going to pursue economy for degree courses, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Xuan Yi, but usually people call me Xuan. I'm from the House of Enthusiasm, Garnet, and I'll be planning to do mathematics.
My name is Yayasan, and yeah, people usually call me Adam. I'm from the House of Glory Sapphire. And I'm doing mechanical engineering for my course.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. So let's start the manifesto session. First up, we have Adam Lloyd. Let's go to the podium.
Good evening to our most respected headmaster, Dr. Paul Rogers, and our fellow students. And thank you for coming here to listen to our manifestos. So today, as a nominee for the post of secretary for the Student Council, I will read more on what improvements I can make and what contributions I can offer to you all. Before that, allow me to clarify how I will carry out the main roles of the secretary. I will make sure that every meeting will be planned two or more days prior to it, so that all members of the SC will be notified, and any absences on that meeting will be informed to the other members, so that there will be no delay and the meetings can run smoothly. Also, any additional changes can also be made in terms of the timing and the date of the meetings. Minutes will be taken for each meeting, and the soft and hard copy will be kept in a file that contains all the preceding ones. Previous records can therefore be immediately retrievable in soft or hard copy. As for the communication between the Student Council and the senior management team, there will be regular meetings on Mondays with them, therefore it will not prove to be much of a problem. And for the communication between the students, so for the students and the Student Council, I will elaborate together with some of the issues in hand. So for what I can offer to you guys. Okay, so well, I have noticed that many students here are not very well informed with the Student Council's activity. Most of the minutes printed out and pasted on the Student Council board by Noshini, our current secretary, has gone unnoticed. I have a few ideas on how I can amend this. One way is that I can forward the minutes to all of you through a WhatsApp group, or maybe through your emails if preferred. But of course, there will be a survey conducted soon to see which one is much more preferable, or if none at all. In addition, I could also make a Facebook page where the minutes will also be regularly updated. The second issue is on the anonymity of the students who want to send a complaint or a suggestion that may be sensitive. Although I am a private student, I understand that the sponsored students are usually less vocal about their opinions, as they are afraid some of them may leak their way to the sponsors. While with a newly established Student Council Facebook page, we could do something similar to the well-known confessions page. Albeit, we are doing some filtering. This will make it easier for us to identify the current issues in KY and also open it to suggestions by students that are not part of the council, while at the same time securing their anonymity. So, going into how I'm going to achieve this, any issues can be informed to us through WhatsApp, or if you are shy or you are not so confident in speaking, you can suggestion box will be placed at the SC board, and you can drop in any suggestions you like. You can do so without mentioning your identity if you want to maintain your anonymity. So, any motion suggested will go through the SC first for filtering, and if the members find it to be relevant and acceptable, the motion will be posted on the page, the Facebook page, for public suggestions or ideas that could improve the motion. So proceeding to the next issue, after a few discussions with our current secretary, she has pointed out to me about the disorganization of the Student Council Board and how many irrelevant notices are also posted there. This could probably be why most of the important notices have gone unnoticed. For this problem, I have decided to redecorate it, arrange all the notices neatly so that most people will have an easier time updating themselves. Additionally, I will regularly update the board and continue pasting any approved minutes like our current secretary so as to let you know what we are doing and what we are planning to do. Of course, these ideas together with the others are still open to improvements, and I hope you all will also contribute to this. And lastly, thank you all for listening to my manifesto, and I hope you will vote for me, Adam Lloyd, for Secretary for the Student Council.
Thank you very much, Adam. Next up is
Hi, a very good evening to all brothers and everyone present here. So firstly, I would like to explain the role of Secretary in the Student Council. So first, we prepare proposals and reports for SC events. Secondly, usually we write down the minutes during the SMT meetings and we will post them on the SC board. Thirdly, we are responsible to relay any information between the SMTs and the student body. So why did I choose to run for secretary? As a member of the High Com, I'll be able to push for proposals and represent the student voices in the weekly SMT meetings. If elected, I will actively act upon student demands and needs. And I also value the communication between the SMT and the student body. And to maintain this multi-communication, I will continue posting the minutes up onto the SC board and ensure that those minutes are written in detail to avoid any ambiguity in the minutes. Much like what our current secretary has done, Loshini has done, the minutes on the SC board will also be made accessible online on the SC Twitter. And even though students can't, even though students can't view all the minutes from past to present on the SC board, I will make it one of my manifestos to provide minutes from the past available on the SC board. So if the students have any inquiries about the SC's progress and attempts to raise issues to the SMT, they can simply review the past minutes and question the SC on the matter's progress. And another problem with the online posting of the SC minutes is that it's rather disorganized among the other event notifications on the SC Twitter. So if elected, I'll either create a separate Twitter page for the SC minutes or a Facebook page where you can access the minutes easily. Third is the addition of an action column under the minutes at the end of the minutes to summarize what the SMT decides to do on the issues we raised during the SMT meetings. And Dr. Paul Rogers is in great support of this idea, and so if elected, I will do these three things to the minutes. Next, in addition to making sure that messages from the SMT gets across to the students perfectly, I will also make sure that there's healthy communication between the High Com or the SC and the students. So to make this happen, I'll provide everyone with a link to an online form where you can voice out concerns to the High Com. And I understand that some of the SC nominees comprise of a similar proposal, an online forum to suggest things. However, there are several differences. Firstly, this forum will be primarily used to raise concerns in the weekly SMT meetings. Secondly, I'll make it my personal responsibility as secretary to go through them and raise them during the SMT meetings and act upon any feasible suggestions. And thirdly, you can choose to be anonymous. Next, as secretary, I'll be familiar with preparing proposals and writing up reports. And thus, I'll try my best to aid any secretaries of any club and societies with their reports and proposals. And to do that, in conjunction with what Chingman is doing as treasurer, the proposals are usually comprised of the budget. And other than helping the future secretaries, we can also increase transparency by uploading those previous proposals up onto the RC's computer. And what students can do is they can not only see where the money is being spent on, but also the quality of the things being bought with the money. Now, one of the important qualities that a secretary should possess is the attention to detail. And as the current secretary has said before, she often had to take up the role of reminding the other SC or HICOM members about details they left out. And often enough, this small discrepancy in details can amount to serious issues. Much like how I've written reports and proposals for clubs in the previous high school, I'll ensure that the proposals are written in detail to avoid any miscommunication and to ensure that there won't be any surprises during the events. Now, I'm sure most of you would agree that the DH food is not best at times. The quality food really fluctuates between meals, and sometimes it tastes fine, sometimes it's not. And this is why, if elected as secretary, I've decided to collaborate with the Food Exco to making a poll system where you can rate your meal from 1 to 5. This will be on for around 2 weeks to like 1 month, and we'll gather data on each meal and its specific popularity to which extent. And now, though I try my best, I cannot guarantee that we can have fried chicken more often after this proposal has been implemented. There will also be limitations on food budgets. Secondly, things like fish, in spite of its unpopularity, is still being served. And this is being done for 2 reasons. Firstly, some of us do enjoy eating fish. And secondly, there are actually regulations on college on minimum servings for fish. And so what I aim to do here is not to completely not serve a food that has been proven to be unpopular, but simply decrease the frequency of it being served so that it's at optimum level, so that those who like it can still benefit from it, and those who dislike it don't have to escape to that cafe too often. None of us would like to see those food getting thrown away, and more importantly, we don't want to waste our parents' money and our sponsors' money. And the beauty of this system is that the food committee and the DH would have a very clear picture of which food is unpopular and to what specific degree. And the thing is, it wouldn't really cost that much money and budget, because in most of the cases we are simply switching unpopular food such as lemon chicken, for example, to things like ayam masak merah. And next, if you have noticed, there has been added variation to the menu, specifically seafood. Those who have stayed over on the weekend should have tasted DH's sambal sotong. And these food actually are allowed a higher budget, and more often than not, they are rather disappointing. So this is a very good feedback system for the DH. I understand that rating the meals for almost every meal may be troublesome for 1 month. So before continuing with this plan, I would gather the feedback from the students about this plan. I've talked to the bursar and the headmaster about this idea, and they are in full support of it. And I've also talked closely with the 2 food expos, and we'll be working closer together. On Thursday, all of you will be faced with the choice for who to vote for the post of secretary. And this vote will depend on what kind of secretary you think Adam, Kingsley, or I will be. Well, I'll promise not only to be a diligent secretary that submits paperwork on time and provide you with detailed minutes, but also be a secretary that's a proactive member in the HICOM, collaborates with the future EXCOs in making the college a better place and their manifestos come true. You only have 5 HICOM members that you can elect to represent your voice. So vote. I do not ask you to vote for me, but vote for a secretary that you know will give it its all. Vote XY for KY, and thank you.
Thank you, Shweni. Before we proceed, I would like to tell the audience to please remain silent when the candidate is speaking. I get that it's a very exciting night, but please show some respect for the speaker. Next up, we have Kingsley Go.
A very good evening, everyone. So my name is Kingsley. First of all, I thank everyone's presence to be here, to stay up to this time. Huh? Sorry? Oh, you want the mic there? Okay, cool. Wait, don't count the times. Okay, it sounds better. It sounds not that harsh. Okay, so I'm running for the post of secretary, but I'm not going to be that kind of secretary that's going to stay in the room for the whole day and write a proposal. I'm going to be that kind of secretary. Thanks, I'm going to be that kind of secretary who will go to you like a caveman and ask your opinion on what you believe that you have to do something to KY. And I don't need any online things. What I need is just a pair of hands and a pair of legs to walk to every one of you to write down all the things necessary for the SC to make changes to KY. Okay, so first of all, I would like to show my appreciation to everyone here to stay out to this time. Thank you, man. To stay up to this time, because you guys are the most efficient voters. You guys are the voters who actually care for the positions, and you guys are in the positions, in the shaping position to make KY a better KY. So I just want to say, every one of your votes count, and your voice is a priority of our SE community members. Okay, so in this whole manifesto, I will only talk about two things. First thing, what will I become in the absence of secretary? Like what kind of secretary will I become? I'm not going to talk about any policy, but in fact I do talk with some of the expo, for example the sport expo, and how we can help to improve the bicycle experience, and also talk with Nazru on how we can bring different races together and how we're going to have a better better understanding of different other groups of people, right? But in this whole manifesto, I will only talk about what kind of secretary that I will become. First and for all, I feel like being just confined secretary as a means of writing proposal, writing minutes, or writing post-mortem is very insufficient, right? I believe that secretary is not just a post that do all of these things, but you have to go a further step than that, and I'm actually aiming for that. I believe that a secretary is someone who has to actually think in the perspective of SS department, in the perspective of upper management team. Because in my experience, right, in my experience as a director for Diwali Night, when we tried to pass the proposal for Diwali Night, it was a hard experience, and we all know it. Even though we pending the proposal 1 month before the event, it was delayed until the 4 days before we are able to get the approval. So this is what differentiates me from other candidates, right? Those other candidates, they don't know how hard it is to go through Puan Hadijah, because Puan Hadijah loves us so much. Yeah. And then, yeah, I love Puan Hadijah too, definitely. That's why, real. So just to, because they didn't talk in the perspective of these important people as well, right? So to make their job easier, I would think in the perspective, and I'm going to do all their thinking for them, so that they are able to approve the proposal with ease, so that they will not add a lot of things inside, right? Like for my Diwali Night, they want to add a fashion show in between, which is kind of cool and cool. Okay, yeah, okay, so one thing that I realized as a director and as a secretary for my previous school is that the proposal has to be beneficial to two parties. First party is the school. Second party is the students here. And in my experience, right, as the proposal, thank you very much. And so as the proposal get delayed, right, so there will be more and more things that the school will demand from you, like a lot of unnecessary thing will be mingled along the proposal, and we don't want that to happen. We will only delay the process that we are able to do, right? And sometimes it deviates from what is actually the true cost of the proposal. Yeah, for example, right, sometimes we want to propose a very fun event, but there's a lot of issue like safety issue. So we try to resolve it as much as possible, but it becomes very boring at the end. So this is the thing that I don't want to be. So there are two things that we're going to address as a secretary. First thing, transparency of language. Because there's a lot of misunderstanding between the upper management team and when it comes to proposal and actual event. And I don't want that to happen. I want to benefit both the upper management team and both the students. Second thing I'm going to address is the students' council development. So what I'm going to do is this. So I'm going to write the whole summary of every agenda that will be held every week for SC meeting, and then I'm going to post all of the agenda onto Google Drive, so all the SC members will have a chance to look at it and take note and keep track on what they have promised to every one of you here, which is very important, so they are able to achieve and establish those things that they promised to you. And the third thing, which is very important, is that I want to be a secretary that stands strong to the stance as a secretary. I don't write a proposal for the SS department. I'm writing a proposal for the students here. And there are things that I cannot compromise, and there are things that I will have to compromise, for example, safety. But when it comes to the fun part of a proposal, please forgive me, because I'm going to stand strong on the fun part of every proposal I'm going to propose. Thank you guys. Okay. Yeah, since I got 3 more minutes, so let's talk about something good. Oh no, you know what? I feel like because I'm gonna be a secretary that listens to every one of you here, I'm gonna end my speech very soon with a quote, and then everyone can, play me with a lot of Q&A session, perhaps. Okay, so let's make KY not the KY from Kiasu. Let's make KY the KY of class. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kingsley, for your speech. The floor is now open for questions.
Hello. Okay, what's your name again? Right, Adam and Sean, your manifestos were actually quite good, and yeah, I hope that you can actually do what you're supposed to do. Kingsley, I have many problems with manifesto, and first of all, I would just like to highlight one thing to not just you, but the 3 of you there. As a secretary, it's very, very important for you to be professional in the things that you do in the SC. And I get it. You really want to appeal to students and things like that. All of us do. So yeah, but I really like where you're going for. But there were some things that I really think you didn't have the full picture of. And when you talk about things like the proposals getting delayed and I don't know, like transparency and things like that, I felt that there were always reasons, why the SS wanted to delay proposals and explain to us why this cannot happen, why that cannot happen. And it's up to you to understand that, okay, when the SS says something, it usually, in my experience, it makes sense. So we have the obligation to actually resolve all these kind of problems and make sure that they are, that they are suitable for KY students. And you talk things about having fun things and I don't know, basically appealing to the students, which I can totally get. But I tell you, even in the SC right now, we do not want to destroy the fun of all the events. But what you must understand is that, especially when it comes to the secretary, you have to focus on the legal reasons of why the SS or even KY for the matter does the things that they do. Because there will always be things that the SC or even the SMT can be held liable for. And who is going to answer to that? In the end, it's not the SC, it's going to be the management that is going to do it. So I hope you are clear with this. Alright? And now to my general question. Alright, in the SC, right, it's actually very important that all the members actually follow an ethical code and actually follow the protocols outlined by, I don't know, outlined by a certain guideline that you will eventually get, whether it's through your predecessors or things like that. And it's also important to make sure, which I agree, to make sure that all of the members in the SC actually do their job well and make sure that they follow this ethical code, because it is your job as a secretary to make sure that all the people in the SC actually are professional, maintain ethical standards and be professional, even if it's towards talking to students. Yeah, I get it, it's fine to be informal and stuff, but there are things that you have to draw the line where you have to tell you have to explain to them the things, like especially legal reasons, because one issue that students don't know is the legal reasons behind why SS do things, or even why the SMT does things. So what you must do is to relay your information. And okay, fine, to my question, it's basically this. It's actually a very simple question, you know. How do you know that the SC has successfully achieved its objective? Thank you.
Will, we didn't hear what you said.
How do you know that the SC has successfully achieved its objective? Because it is actually the secretary's role to ensure that everything in the SC runs smoothly.
I will. So thank you for your questions. So if you don't mind, can I answer the first part of it, like before the question? Okay. So yeah, I do agree with you that sometimes Kwang Haijuan is being really sensible, and he's actually very nice. He got a lot of ideas. She got a lot of ideas. And yeah, we do have to, what I'm trying to say is that we have to compromise to a certain extent when it comes to the safety for the students, right? We don't want the students to get hurt. We don't want people held responsible for things. But when it comes to even more important things like the welfare of the students, right, that we cannot compromise, like sometimes in the proposals, when it comes to the discussions, things will get a bit, shaky, especially in that part, right? That's the thing that I don't want it to happen. And second to your questions, right, how do we actually know that if the event is a success or like? So first thing, before the event, in the proposal, we will have a...
It's not an event, sorry, it's the objective of the SC as a whole throughout the year.
Okay, so the objective of the SC, right? So before anything, we have to first note down what is the objective of the SC, and then we will have tentative plan on how to achieve those objectives. And ultimately, at the end of the year or at the end of the term, we will first do a survey on every student to see if actually the objective is being met, and then we will do a post-mortem. If it's not met, then we will have a full time to think about why is it not met, or if it's met, then we will think about what can we do better for the students. That's my answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. And my answer is divided into 3 parts. First is the manifesto, and manifesto is an expectation that the SC sets for themselves. So one very good guideline is whether they achieve their own maybe feasible manifestos, and that's why I'm very in favor of having feasible manifestos. Secondly, the student's response, much like what Kingsley said post-mortem, but I feel like post-mortem may be too late to evaluate whether SC has been successful or not, and what I think that me and Adam proposed would counter that problem is to evaluate the SC's efforts and success over time and consistently. And that's what our form will aim to do. Thirdly, is to make sure that there are small improvements if they can't achieve large ones. So previously, the SC has pushed for very big things, not to give examples, but yeah. But what represents a success in the student councils is if they cannot achieve big improvements, at least make an effort to make small ones that will improve our quality of life. Much like what the sports exco is doing with the shuttlecocks, and what the future female vice president is doing with the girls' council. Thank you.
For the question, well, that's basically what the suggestion box is for. I mean, other than giving just suggestions as well, we can evaluate the students' opinions on the SC and whether we have actually done our job. And by completing, the first thing is our manifestos, just as what Shen said. Once we completed our manifestos, we have to carry on with our duties. And the suggestion box will give us more ideas on how we can actually further improve our community. And if we have accepted one of the motions, and if the votes for it are actually the motion is actually approved, and if we have actually achieved it, and the minutes and from the students' point of view through the suggestion boxes have gave us the evaluation of whether we have done it or not. From that, we can actually see if we have actually managed achieve our task or not. Does that answer your question?
Hello guys, I have one general question and one directed question. Yeah. My general question is, when you're in the SC High Court, there are a lot of stuff you are not allowed to tell others, including SC members as well. Are you guys aware of that? Okay, if you guys are not aware of that, let me tell you. A lot of times, other SC members, besides the HiCom members, are very not well informed about whatever decisions and whatever discussion is going on with SMTs or Mahalija or Dr. Paul. So are you guys going to be very transparent on this, or are you guys going to filter some of this and channel it to the student? And may I know that when conflict happens between the SS or the SMT and the students, which side are you guys going to stand for? And then there's one more active question to Xuan Yi. Alright, wait, let me check my phone. As a food expo, I really appreciate the fact that you're concerned about the food in K1. But based on the manifesto, partly of it is based on the food in K1. But since you are so interested in food, right, why don't you run for the food expo? So there's no competition. And then you're such a new and good doctor, why don't you go for that? Thank you.
Way to go, Eugene!
Hi, I would like to answer my directed question first before moving on to the general questions. And again, it's divided into three parts. Firstly, my manifesto actually already contains many secretarial parts, such as continuing the minutes and my improvements to the minutes. Secondly, easing the process of making proposals. And thirdly, about voicing students' concerns in the weekly SMT meetings. Now, next is that also part of the successful functioning of the whole SC and the HiCom. And so, I feel like I have a duty to make sure that each and every one of the EXCOs are creating feasible manifestos and contributing to their job. And it's not just the food EXCOs. I've been talking to the academic EXCOs, I've been talking to welfare EXCOs, I've been going to the headmasters concerning academic affairs. And so, my concern is not solely on food, but also to the general well-being of the KY students. And I think that will be it.
I just want to clarify something that Xuan said. Because if I'm not mistaken, right, what I asked Loshini is that the proposal that a secretary is supposed to do in SC is mainly for samurai and all those things, all those specific proposals that food committee will do is supposed, if I'm not mistaken, to be done by themselves or another party that they find, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe I feel like Xuan could work on that definitely. And to answer the general questions, right, so who will I stand for? It's actually kind of simple. I will just stand for, I will stand for every one of you here. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Eugene, can you repeat your question for a while? I didn't quite catch the last part of it.
Alright, it's not just about you standing for who else, okay? It's about when there's conflict between SS or whatever with the students, which part are going to stand for. And then sometimes about the discussion and the minutes, right? A lot of stuff discussed is not stated in the minutes. And you can't be very transparent about all of that. And the other SC members is not well informed about all this discussion and the decision making. So, how are you going to solve that problem? Understand?
I think that's a very good question. So, okay. So when there's conflict between two parties, right, it's not good to take a stance on one of the party only. So what we can do is that first we have to identify what is the conflict between these two parties, and there will definitely be a middle ground to resolve it. There's a lot of conflict, especially when it comes to minutes and it comes to proposal, right? But we are able to find a middle ground between both of them. So we are at least able to achieve a certain harmony with both of them. That's what I will do. That's what I will do. And then about the transparency, right? This is where I propose that every discussion by the SC members, by the SC High Core members, will be written by me, and I will compress it and put it in a Google Drive, which is shared among all the EXCO members. Well, this will solve the transparency problem first. Okay, thank you. But most importantly, I believe that most of the agenda that has been discussed by SC members should be known by the EXCO members, and through the respective EXCO members, they are able to direct their own audience, their own people who vote for them, so they are able to achieve their tasks, their promises, and yeah, that's what I will do as a secretary to help for the student achievements when it comes to promises.
So now I'll be answering the general questions. I think it's divided into two parts. The first is whether if there's anything that's directed at us that's supposed to be secret, and whether we will share it and be transparent about it. And the answer is definitely among the SC, because we are a team. We're supposed to discuss about whether it's appropriate or not. And because it's quite general of the question, so I would say definitely among the high coms and the SC. And secondly, where do I stand when there's a conflict between the SS and the students is a very simple answer, is the students. We are elected by the students, we represent the students, we are students. So, this cannot be confused by negotiating with the SMTs. More often than not, pushing on unfeasible for example, proposals and pushing for something that's unrealistic is not going to get us anywhere. So we should push for everything that's is feasible, that's plausible, and we have to work for the students' benefit and solely the students' benefit. Thank you.
If there's a negotiation failure in negotiation between the SS and the student body, for this, I think Will has already mentioned that the SS and all the SFTs, they have a reason for why they reject our proposals. And of course, a consensus can still be made, but it depends on the situation. If it's something that is not viable at all, then of course it should. Of course, I won't cite anyone. It depends on the situation usually. So if it's something that is feasible and it's actually okay to be pushed, and if it will actually help the students and not really affect. If you actually help the students in a really great way, then I will help the students. But if it's a really quite tedious, if it's just some trivial stuff, then I won't actually side with anyone. I'll just, just because the negotiation cannot, I don't think there will be any negotiations because it's just trivial stuff. And for the confidentiality, I am still not an SC member, so I'm still not really, I don't really know what's going to wait for me, what kind of information we are going to discuss, what kind of things we're going to discuss, and I don't really know what I really have to keep confidential or not yet. But so I cannot really promise anyone about the transparency of our high com together with the expos, as I do not know what's going to wait for me.
Hi guys. So I'd like to congratulate everyone for a very good manifesto. To ensure that your manifestos are successful, it's very important for every SC member to work together. My question is a general question to all three of you all. I would like to know how can you guys ensure that every SC member is present during meetings, especially on Mondays or any other meetings. Yeah. Thank you.
So as I have said in my manifesto, I have said that meetings will be planned 2 or more days prior to the date in question. If there are any things that the other SC members that they have to do, we can change the date and time into another date and time. Since we are still planning it in the early stage, so we can still change it to a later or an earlier time. depending on what time fits most of the student council members.
Yeah, much like what Adam said, meetings should not be made last minute. There should be a few days notice so that you can ensure that everyone will come, or most of them will come. But definitely make the meeting convenient for everyone, making sure that their timing is right for everyone. And also, to have a clear agenda for the meetings would really encourage the excos to come because they'll see a purpose in the meetings. The second thing to do is to speak with them individually or text them individually to make sure they are coming, and if not, try to convince them somehow or negotiate some kind of timing thing. And yeah, I guess that's
Okay, so to answer the question, first you have to identify why people would not want to come for the meeting, right? So first reason is that I believe is because it's always in the very early morning and they're lazy to wake up, and most of them have a free block. So, okay, so I suggest, right, hopefully the president will agree with me, right, remove the meeting to maybe like after school tonight, right? We have so many times in KY, so we can keep the time a bit. And then second thing is that how to ensure everyone to come. I believe like everyone in the SE are all very responsible people, and there are people that actually fight for the interest of the students. They will definitely come. If they don't come, I will just use my leg and find them villa by villa, perhaps. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is directed to Kingsley, okay? You are the director of Diwali night. I think it's understandable. Hi Kingsley. Okay, as a committee member myself, I think it's understandable that I speak for everyone when I say that you hardly listen to what your committee members had to say, always believing what you said is right, despite the disagreement of almost everyone. You verbally abused and attacked the committee member who disagreed with you. I don't normally do this, but I have to stand up and give the people context. You're good at promoting yourself, but when it comes to the job, you're hardly ever there, evident by what happened in Diwali night.
Swati.
No, my question is not done yet.
Continue.
I'm not even sure if you looked at the proposal. So, how do you think you're going to work with a board of council of members for the betterment of the fellow students when you cannot even agree on deco for an event? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for Swati for the question. Actually, I want to answer that I've been preparing for the question since the moment I decided to go for secretary, right? Okay, so Swati, first and foremost, I want to stand for this because it is a very important question. It has to be clarified. So you have to understand, right? I don't know who are you speaking on behalf of, but now I'm speaking on behalf
of the committee because I'm part of the committee.
Yeah, now I'm speaking on behalf of the committee because I'm also part of the committee. I appreciate. So I will answer you as much as I can, as honest as possible, right? Okay, so first I have to admit, in the planning process, there will be things that I've done right, there will be things that I've done wrong. And sometimes I'm a stubborn guy, which I say in the manifesto, when it comes to the right thing, I will stand for it. But even if people think it's not a right thing, I will persuade as much as I can. If I cannot, I will still compromise. And this is me after the Diwali night accident. But let me assure everyone this. Diwali night was a success, and it was a success made by everyone in the Diwali night committee, and I'm saying this on behalf of my Diwali committee. And one thing for the decoration, right, it was awesome. It's a perfect awesome. It's a Trump awesome. It's so awesome. Awesome. People was the best. And I tell you, we decided right away because we decided 3 days before the event, and we just get it done in 3 days.
Okay, one final follow-up question.
Yes, please.
Do you know what is the exact budget for Diwali night?
Yes, the exact budget. Okay, what do you mean by exact budget for Diwali night? Budget? Wait, there are two kinds of budget, right? I'm not a treasurer, so I can't really respond you with the exact.
You are the director, Kingsley. You should know this.
Wait. The exact budget given by the school or the exact budget that we have spent?
Yeah, what you spent?
Okay, so we have spent. Let's ignore about the 3,000 ringgit given by the school, but we have spent around more than 6,000 ringgit. Because you know, like sometimes, right, you just have to, like, we make as much money as possible, and then we just spend all of it. If there's extra, we just give it to all those members who have like contributed personally lah. So yeah. So by the way, Swati, I love your performance during Diwali night. And you were very good dance exco. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the compliment, Kingsley.
Hi there guys, thank you very much for your manifesto, it's really interesting. I have a question and also a few clarifications to make for everyone. My question is just one directed question to Adam. I think you mentioned the creation of a Facebook page in which people can file complaints. Just one question is that how are you going to make sure that, because you're going to get a lot of complaints coming on the Facebook page, how do you know that they're true? Okay, that's my question to you. And a few clarifications to make, okay? In a sense, I'm also answering a question on your behalf. We were asked about how you're going to make sure that SC achieves their objectives. Well, understand that as secretary, it's not your sole job to make sure all SC members work together. It's a collective job of the HiCom, and also each SC member is expected to pull their own weight. But about achieving their objectives, do you guys remember SC WIP? We brought that up. It's a clear document in which all the manifestos you guys are giving are outlined, what you promised to bring to the students, and on that is explained whether or not these manifestos have been achieved, and if not, why they can't be achieved. So I would suggest that you guys continue that system and improve it, perhaps keep the students more updated about it, because to be honest, we haven't been keeping you guys updated too much. It's still there online if you guys want to look at it, but I guess you guys maybe forget about the link maybe, because it's been quite a while. But you guys can keep updating students about that. And I also want to make clarifications about the minutes, okay? Roshini is behind me and she's going to clarify a lot more, but I want to mention, okay? I want to mention about the minutes. You have to understand that you are transparent, you are completely transparent, but things that you can't say, you can't say. And to be honest, I would say 98% of the things mentioned in the meetings are transparent to SC members and the students. So I'm not aware of how students have obtained information, and I quote, most of the things mentioned are not related to the students. That's what was said just now. I personally disagree with that, and I'll give you an example. If, for example, Puan Hadijah tells us that students from a particular scholarship were caught renting a car, we're not going to post that in the minutes, are we? Are we? No. Something like Puan Hadijah found out about the number of students climbing over the pool, and she tells us, are we going to post that in the minutes? No. We tell everyone what they need to know, and rest assured that you guys know most of the things that go on. You guys know exactly what you need to know. And Rashid is behind me, she's going to clarify more things, so I'm going to give her the space. Thank you very much.
Hi guys. So first of all, I'd like to say congratulations that I see 3 of you all up there. It's really happy. I mean, for 3 consecutive years, the secretary post has been uncontested. And it's really nice to see 3 boys running for secretary. Okay, first of all, I would like to clarify a few things, and then I have a general question for the 3 of you. So about the Monday meetings, you were mentioning about having Monday meetings in whatever time that students, the HiCom is available. Actually, Monday meetings, you have to make sure that the SMTs are available. So you have to accommodate according to their availability. So it's not up to you to make it in the evening or after class and whatsoever. And all the while, most of the HiCom has been attending the meeting. So I don't see any problem. Even I have a free block. Aisha has a free block right after the SMT meeting. We still go for the meetings every single week. So I don't think there's a problem for you to actually attend the meeting every week. Okay? And secondly, I would like to say that it's not just, a secretary doesn't only do the proposal of induction week, but we do also handle the proposal of other SC events such as end of SEM dinner, the SC camp, or now known as the leadership camp. Okay, so you don't think that we only do the induction week proposal. And it's not the job of the secretary alone to make sure that all the SC attain their objectives as well as all the HICOM attain their objective. It's the collective effort of the whole SC to make sure that they obtain their own objectives. So I would like to clarify on that. And about the minutes, if you have read the minutes, it has been in real detail, every minute, everything that has been discussed in the meeting, most of the things has been written down, like Azam said, 98% of the minutes. And I would like to say only stuff that are offensive are not written in the minutes. And I don't know from which source did you obtain the information that a lot of things are not mentioned in the minutes. And personally, I think that it is really not right to say that. As HICOM, we have agreed that most of the things that has been discussed has been included in the minutes. Okay? And final question to all the three of you. What happens if you are burdened with a lot of paperwork, seeing that you are so ambitious about not only doing paperwork but also handling other things like food and other things, like going door to door and asking everyone about what they would like to comment or complain. So if you are burdened with a lot of paperwork, class tests and deadlines, what would you do?
First, I would like to address Azam's question first on how I'm going to make sure that the post on the Facebook page is filtered out properly. So, as I've said in my manifesto, it's not the same as the confessions page where people can just post whatever they want. But the post will be made by the student council themselves. It is through the suggested motions made by students who address the problems through the suggestion box or through WhatsApp to the student council, and the student council will filter it out properly. Then they will post it to the Facebook page for the contribution of the students, for students to contribute to it at the same time. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, for Lashini's question, okay, I will make sure that I will do the job of the secretary first and foremost, my job, my role, complete it first before I move on to the others, like being ambitious on doing other things, extra things. For example, like helping out other exos and stuff. I would make sure that I have done my job, my part of that first before I help the others. Does this answer your question? Or
what if you are burdened with a lot of paperwork and you have class tests and you have deadlines or proposals to meet? What would you do?
If it is my job, then I think I will have to finish it. I mean, because it is my part of the job, so I will have to finish it. Yeah.
Will you consider asking help from others?
I would, if they are willing to. I will ask for help.
Okay.
Okay, so in response to Roshini's comment, first of all, thank you for those comments. Secondly, I do acknowledge that it's not my sole effort to encourage the EXCOs to carry on with their manifesto. It's a collective effort, but I'm simply saying, as a HICOM, I would contribute to the encouragement of implementing manifestos. And now proceeding to Roshini's questions about burden with too much paperwork. Firstly, I feel like the secret to tackling heavy workload is time management. And one of my habits all along is to do things beforehand, very early beforehand. I've been practicing my math admissions test way early on last year, preparing for CVs last year. For example, class tests, I don't really study for class tests, I simply study consistently. So I will always make sure that I always have time to spare to deal with sudden increase in paperwork. And secondly, I would also ask people for help. And I understand that making people and convincing people to do the secretarial work, helping you doing secretarial work, it's a very difficult task, proposals and reports. But what I want to suggest to them is A, convincing them that it's a good experience. B is division of labor. We split the job. For example, in the meetings, someone just looked down specifically on one part of organizing an event, and they are responsible to write about that part. And then we can integrate the proposals later on, and I will just review them to make my life easier if I really get too burdened with paperwork. And I think that will be it.
Okay, in regard with the very heavy workload, to answer that question, first I have to prove my own efficiency. So I have a passion in writing, to be honest. So I actually write for business proposal. One of them is for BSCS 2017 Business Case Study Challenge, and one of them is for a national competition in which I have to come up with a real viable business proposal in less than 2 days. So I believe that kind of experience will help me, especially when it comes to tackle urgent workloads, right? So I'm able to efficiently get my job as a secretary done, and I will tackle all my schoolwork and all those things, right? And of course, I will consider to gain help from all those SC members, because at the end we are a family, fight together for the interest of everyone here. So we will Al is right nearby me, Azra is right nearby me at my villa. So I'll just go to their villa and work together, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody else? Anything?
I'll be here a bit longer.
Good evening, everybody. This question is to Adam and Xuan, because it's clear that, based on Wesley's manifesto, it's very transparent. We know what we're getting. We know what we are getting. It's all that clear. So my question to Adam and Xuan is, to each of you answer this question. What do you think you have that makes you better than your previous two candidates, and why individually? Do you need me to repeat it?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay lah, all three lah.
Okay, so one thing I think I stand out compared to the other two candidates is my willingness to collaborate with the other excos in making the manifestos happen. And this is proven. I've talked to the bursar, headmaster, I've talked to the excos all about the general problems in KY. So definitely one thing.
So yeah, definitely the first thing. So I have a lot of good experience and bad experience. So I actually feel the burn during the Divine Night as well. So I'm a man who has been hurt and stand stronger now to fight for everyone. And I believe I will do better to be better.
Okay, so I'm a person who takes initiative. For example, in Bangsawan, I actually didn't get the role of playing the bongos, but I volunteered myself to participate in the dance. And in most of the performances, I volunteered myself in performances where no one actually asked me to. No one particularly asked me to. For example, in City Night, and Diwali and all those. And for me, I'm not much of a speaker, but more of a writer. And I usually put down all my ideas and all my thoughts into writing. So being a secretary is actually it's quite suiting for me, as it is full of writing and less speaking. And that's what I think quite simple for me. But But everyone has their own flaws and their own talents and where they're good at. So whoever you think is most suitable for the secretary job, just vote for them without having any like friendship thingy or anything, right? Be indiscriminate and please vote according to what you think will be most suitable for the student council, please.
Okay, thank you guys. That's the end of our secretary session. No, we're running low on time. I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
I will keep this very short and direct. Gentlemen, I do appreciate your commitment to transparency and also embracing various social media platforms. The question is more one of the legalities thereof. How much have each of you gentlemen, as a general question, familiarized yourself with the policies involving communications to outside media in relation to your job as secretary?
I'm still new to this, and I do not have much experience in this field. However, there will always be a first step towards, and I will learn along the way at the same time, and I assure you that I will do 100%. I will work 100%. Okay, yeah, both like a lot. I will work 100% if I get the secretary post.
So prior to this manifesto night, I've been communicating a lot with the previous secretary, Lushini, about her job scope and all. So at least I will have a gauge on the technicalities and legalities with the minutes. And also in addition to that, also prior to this manifesto night, I've been reading about past minutes and looking at how it's written and specifically where the borders are. And they are available in the SC Twitter, by the way, and I can search through very old minutes and they are made. Thank you.
Yeah, actually I am Xuan, but actually when I was in my previous school, I organized a fashion week before, which I have totally no idea, and I have to find a sponsor, which is the outside relationship with my school. And yeah, so establishing such a strange relationship is kind of hard, so there's a lot of cold email. I've sent about like 50 cold emails to a lot of big corporations, most of them ignore me. And well, I came to the, as I came to KY, I will start myself to get adapted to the culture of KY so that I could represent the school when it comes to time when I have to actually communicate with outside relationship. Thank you very much. And by the way, today is Happy Valentine's Day, guys. Happy relationship, guys.
Okay, with that, the secretary session ends. Thank you, guys. Okay guys, let's move on. It's the final session for tonight, which is the male VP. We're calling on the sole candidate now, Jayasan. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Vela. Okay, hi guys, my name is Jayasan. I'm from batch 19.0 and I'm from House of Enthusiasm Garnet. I'm sponsored by UEM to study civil engineering. Thank you.
So I'm excited to hear your speech. So proceed to the podium.
My test, 1, 2, 3. A very good evening, I bid to the fellow KY staff and all my peers present today. My name is Shun. I'm from batch 19.0, House of Enthusiasm, Garnet. And today, I'm standing here running for the position of Vice President. I believe the Vice President should first facilitate all events held, including SC meetings, be a guide to students, especially the juniors, and thirdly, be the voice of students by listening to any problems they have. During Sem 1, I participated in events such as CP night, Diwali night, and the end of Sem dinner, among others. Throughout these events, especially as the event co-director for CP night, I have learned the importance of working together. Therefore, as Vice President, I want to apply my experience and passion in working as a member of a team to guide the SC to achieve even more success. And so, here are a few points of my manifesto. One of the biggest issues in KY is the lack of regular communication between the students and the members of Student Council. It is to my knowledge that the Student Council has had online surveys for the students to fill in, but I would suggest the setup of a suggestion box together with regular monthly online surveys. I think it is important to have a proper avenue for the students to file a complaint. By actively publicizing the online surveys and with the presence of a suggestion box, the SC will be able to reach out to a larger portion of the KY community and give them a voice. Once the data has been collected, the appropriate action will be taken to resolve or to improve the issues. For instance, I plan to propose a written notice to update what issue the SC is currently looking into and state who is the person in charge. Furthermore, I would suggest that there should be another 3 more columns with the headings: first, what to do; second, what is in process; and thirdly, what is to be done in the future. I will make sure that the notice is updated on a regular basis to keep the students updated. This brings me to my next point, where I would propose a SC complaint form to make it possible for the students to launch a formal complaint with the preferred nicknames. With the preferred nickname of the student written beside his or her real name in the form as well. I believe that the new SC will be able to address the complaints or problems directly. In that case, the students are aware of the problems being responded to by the SC. To give the students a rough idea of how it's going to be, the note of response corresponding to the questionnaire in his or her nickname will be posted on the SC board for the student to read, for example, to Mr. N, and we will give a response based on your complaint. Third, I believe I also have the obligation to be observant and to bring up issues and improvements that should be made in the college. For example, the condition of the toilet in the dining hall is poor. I am aware of the broken equipment in the male toilet, the incomplete ceiling, and the unacceptable level of hygiene. Therefore, I plan to reinforce and push for a more effective cleaning schedule for toilets so that the level of hygiene is upheld. And I've spoken to Dr. Paul and Mr. Bursa about this issue. The reason why I'm running for this post is because I believe that college is a platform for teenagers to equip themselves with knowledge and experience. In my opinion, the position of Vice President provides me with the perfect opportunity to improve and to grow as a person while helping my fellow students. Responsibility. It is the most important quality one can have. It is what defines our action, and it is what I will strive to instill into the KY community. I would like to end my speech in the words of Abraham Lincoln: "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." I hope you guys would give me your support and grant me this opportunity to serve the KY community. As no one is perfect, I believe that there is always room for improvement, so feel free to give me any suggestions whenever relevant to improve myself as a person and also to improve the new student council. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ang, for your speech. Before we go on to the question and answer session, I have one question for you. This is actually from my own personal experience. If you remember, I was the director for your induction week. And during the induction, okay, before that, if you are aware, certain members of the SS department are openly against some students and are in favor of some other students. And sometimes when you're in charge of activities like this, you are told to turn against your own friends and you are told to tell them not to come to the place. You're supposed to work against them. And you must remember that you're dealing with the SS. So if you go against them, sometimes things get sour. But if you don't do that, then it still doesn't help anybody. So what would you do in such a situation?
Okay. Okay, thank you Vela for the question. For this case, I will first go to make sure that whatever reasons behind this action is appropriate, and I will discuss with my members of student council first to see what appropriate action should be taken. For your case, for example, the students that SS don't want to invite for certain events, I think at some point I should stand up as a HiCom to fight for the rights of students and also to protect the rights of students. But I'll make sure that I at least know what's the reason behind it, and I will carry out an investigation before I invite them out to be excluded in the event. So to me, this is the action I've taken. Does it answer the question?
Okay, thank you. The question and answer session starts.
Good evening, I like your manifesto. I believe that it's practical. So I just want to ask a question regarding yourself. So I can see that you are very passionate, and I believe that so. I've been working with you before, and I can see you're passionate. But what happens, because as humans, at times we may have emotional problems. Okay, so what would you do if for some reason you have an emotional problem, an emotional issue? What would you do as the vice president when you have been burdened with quite a task?
Thank you, Chairboy. Okay, to be honest, I have been, okay, let me tell you something about myself. In high school, I was the head prefect in also of society. I also the member of for student council. So I find it really important for a leader or a person in the HiCom not to influence the rest by your emotion. If I have emotional issue, I think I would motivate myself every day, like what I'm doing now, and also to make sure that that problem wouldn't be a problem for another person, because this is not a way of solving problem. If I have a problem, I'll talk to my friends, and I'll talk to maybe some close friends to resolve the issue, or somehow to read more books or to consult my parents to have an answer for questions, so that I don't have groups against anyone or have this kind of emotional instability. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's very thank you. I just like to give you a scenario. And I think it's manifesto. I think it was fine. In September last year, there was this large-scale and prestigious event called the KY Summit, and we all know that it has been cancelled, and the management has cited health and safety reasons. Considering the amount of effort that the students have put in and the amount of resources that the college has provided to develop this event, I want to know, what do you think is the stance of the SC or the HiCom especially when you talk about student rights, when you want to address this kind of issue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, I'm so sorry, I have not really so much insights on what really happened. For me, I just know it's cancelled because of some issue that has something to do with the council. They have some decision, student service. They have made some decision based on certain reasons. I'm not clear about the reason behind. But if similar things happens in future, for me, I think it's really a waste if the event just cancelled like that. But as a student council, I have my stand, and I will first like what I did, like what I answered just now, I'll have to get to know whatever it is going on for me to be able to generate the best decision and also to discuss with my student council. Definitely, I will be on stand of the students because I'm representing them to speak, and because I'm given this authority and power, not that high, sorry, as student council, I should fight for that. I will represent them to discuss with the SMT to see whether we can reach a point of where we can reach a point of agreement where the events can be still carried out maybe on a smaller scale, depends on the factors affecting the whole scenario. Okay, so for that I can't really give you a certain answer, but this is what I will try to do. Is it okay? Thank you.
Hi, as a HiCom member, you should be aware that although for major events, there are representatives for HiCom does their respective jobs, but for smaller events, are you open up to the possibility of you volunteering for secretary to lessen the burden of the prospective secretaries? Thank you.
Right, thank you, Shani. Okay, throughout my experience, like last semester and this semester also until now, I have participated in all the major events possible. And for me, myself, I think it's important, if you are a leader, you have to set an image for the students. Like a lot of people have misunderstood this post of vice president, and they have a mentality that the vice president don't have to do much compared to president, which will burden the president itself, because I have certain experience before. And for me, small events, I will be there. I will make sure I'm there, and I'll sit there, even to consult or to give guidance to my my peers, so that they know. For example, my specialty is in decoration, so at least they know which part to decorate, or maybe I can direct them to the events director before, or to at least inform them what are the necessary procedures to go through before the events. So I will be there to guide them, and I will give them my 100% support. Right, thank you.
Hi, I really like your manifesto. I just have one question, and it's more out of curiosity myself, personally. I think that, one thing is that you're uncontested, so you have the post, but I also personally see that you're a very capable person. And I'm wondering, what held you back from running for president? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah,
yes, take your time, take your time. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, I love the question. To be honest, I never considered running for president before, because I have prior experience of being the president, and now in this college, I wanted to try something new. And also, I think vice president is really important. Like just what I mentioned just now, I wanted to change the mentality behind. I already rectified the mentality that people thought vice president is cannot do a lot of things, or they don't have to do a lot of things compared to president. I want to make sure, I want to set an example to the students that vice president is really important, and for whatever post you hold, if you have the responsibility, you have to do it. That's my stand. And adding to that, me myself was set as a role model, and also to talk to my SC members or other students, or other organizing committee, to make sure that they understand what it is to be the committee itself, and what responsibility you help to carry out. And it is really important, because that's one of the attributes I think a teenager should have in this college or in this world, I believe. Yeah. Anything else?
Okay, thank you everyone. With that, the manifesto night ends. Thank you very much, Anand. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Please don't forget to come again tomorrow for the President's Manifesto. Thank you.